Merry Christmas from Netherlands. I am in Netherlands. And actually, more specifically, I'm in Friesland. They actually speak a different language here, which is part of Netherlands, actually, but the Frisian people speak a different language. And I'm actually in Catherine Austin Fitz's studio. Catherine's not here. I've got the place to myself now. Masako is off in Japan at Christmas, so I'll be calling her as soon as we finish this. And Masako will be back soon, though. And so I wish I was with Masako and other family members on Christmas, but that's the way it is. I'm alone, but that's okay. Actually, yesterday I'm not alone. I'm here with all these Americans who this is their last resting place from World War II. Yesterday I went to a crash site with a Frisian man, a friend of mine, and he showed me where this B-24 Liberator, and it crashed in a place called Marins, not far from here, Merns. Actually, there was more than 5,500 crashes, almost 6,000 crashes in World War II between British, Australians, and Americans, just crashing all over the place around here. There's quite a lot of crash sites in the immediate area from British, Americans, and Australians. And this Liberator crash, it's you can find it on this is on Facebook. But anyway, we went to the crash site. It's at a cemetery. It's very close to here. And the aircraft was, I think that one, and I'm not sure what the mission was on that one. That one may have been resupplying guerrillas. I'm not sure if that one was doing that. There's so many crashes that we visited. But this B-24, it crashed right next to a cemetery, and then hit the cemetery and blew down the bell tower in the cemetery, which has been rebuilt because I saw it yesterday, and apparently took out a bunch of gravestones because they just found a propeller there recently, actually, and then so it crashed, blew through some trees, right through the cemetery, knocked the bell tower down, and went to the other maybe 30 meters and stopped. And here's the crew right here, actually. One of the crews, the name of the crash, if you look it up you can look it up online. It was a B-24 Liberator, and if you look up 42-7554, so I'll say again, that's 42-7554. It crashed on December 22nd, 1943. Just a coincidence, actually. So 2 days ago in 1943. Because today is December 24th, Christmas Eve. And interestingly, when you're jumping out of an airplane, sometimes the parachute gets caught on something, either inside the aircraft, your cord, or the parachute gets caught on the aircraft. Happens. That's called a hang jumper, right? Hanged jumper. It happens with cargo sometimes too. But apparently, when this one was crashing, and the crew was bailing, one of the aviators, his parachute got caught on the tail of the B-24. And so he was being dragged, right, through the sky. And then they crashed, boom, went through the trees, took out the bell tower, and stopped like 30, 40 meters away, max, maybe like 30. And he was still alive. So apparently he survived. He must have been, if he ever went back and told those war stories, I bet you nobody believed it. That's one of those things you just like, well, I'll just not bother to tell anybody that because nobody's going to believe it. But apparently he actually survived. So here's the crew. I'll read out their names. How many other? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 crew members. First Lieutenant Allen was killed in action. Second Lieutenant Destro killed in action. Tech Sergeant Owens, if that's the right terminology for Army Air Corps, Tech Sergeant Owens killed in action. Tech Sergeant Robbins killed in action. Tech Sergeant Elder killed in action. Staff Sergeant Odom killed in action. Staff Sergeant Pavelko killed in action. And then POW was Staff Sergeant Henry. Germans were here, so he had been a German POW. Okay, so Staff Sergeant Henry was a POW. And then Second Lieutenant Gill was a POW. And then a second lieutenant Bevins got away, and I saw a picture of him. He's riding a bicycle in disguise, and so second one got away, and well done, Lieutenant Bevins, I mean, well done to all of them. They were doing their mission, and things happened, and that they're not the only ones. I would have been with them. I'd have been on the next mission after they died. I would have taken the next airplane. This is our brothers in arms right here, and so. Unfortunately, 7 of them were killed, 2 were POWs, and luckily, Second Lieutenant Bevin, is that the right way to pronounce it, or Bevins, escaped. So it was a B-24 Liberator number 42-7554, lost in Mearns. Mearns is spelled M-I-R-S, Mike, India, Romeo, November, Sierra. That's just down the road from me. There's another crash just right over here in Stavoren. I mean, I could walk to it in like 4 minutes. They Americans crashed into the lake here. Look up Stavoren, Stavoren, I'll say again, Stavoren, Stavoren, Netherlands. This aircraft, also a B-24, as I recall, crashed into the lake here, and all the crew except one couldn't swim, but he had his, apparently from what I read, he had his life jacket on, but he couldn't swim. He was kind of panicking, and but anyway, the other guy, long story short, they got their life raft out and they made it to shore. It was October of, was it 1943, but it was in October, and they made it to shore. It wasn't very far to shore, actually, but they couldn't find the other the crewman who finally his body washed up on shore. But the other ones who made it to shore, I mean, and Frisians found it, actually. But when those guys made it to shore, the rest of the crew, they had to go over the dike because there's all dikes between the sea and the land here, and then they had to go across another little canal. But they found some farmers, and the farmers took them in and hid them from the Germans and put them in the pipeline, so that I think they were here for over a year or so, hiding in that sort of thing. There was a resistance here that our people were parachuting out supplies to. But again, more than 5,500 crashes here in the Netherlands just in World War II. So I'm not alone for Christmas. I'm with lost brothers here, and a lot of them did survive. During the Afghan War, actually, the British too, but the Dutch army brought me back to Netherlands. The British brought me to United Kingdom, but the Dutch brought me to Netherlands for a market garden celebration, or not celebration, but sort of a commemorates. And I was there with a bunch of old American veterans who were like in their 70s and no, they were like in 80s and 90s. And we spent, how long did I spend with them? 3 days or something, maybe 4. And we went to the National Cemetery, and they were telling me stories about their friends who were buried there. And, these old vets were in great spirits. One that I spent, 2 or 3 dinners with, lunch, was named Maggie Magellas. And Maggie Magellas fought here in Netherlands at Market Garden. He showed me where he fought, actually, and we actually went to one of the villages where he fought. And a lot of people thought Maggie should get the Medal of Honor, and he passed away in recent times. And he used to message me. Actually, Maggie, I was having dinner with him two or three times, and at one point he was like, he came to Afghanistan because he's kind of a celebrity in a sense. And but he wanted to meet me in Afghanistan, and he said I didn't answer his messages, and he seemed to be upset. And I'm like, sir, listen, you remember what combat was like. I read about you in combat, remember that stuff? I was still doing it. I was out as a war correspondent, but I wasn't checking emails. There was, sorry I didn't see the messages. But anyway, then I ended up at the table with him, and but he wanted to get together in Afghanistan. But even if I knew he was there, I wouldn't have had time. I was out with infantry. I told him, I said, I was out with infantry, like you used to do. I'm not going to unplug and tour with you as much as you did in World War II. I super appreciate it. But our guys were still in combat. So, and I was, staying with him as much as I could. And, but Maggie was actually, if you look up Maggie Magellan, I think later he worked for CIA in Central America. It may have been Panama and other places. He was pretty thick with U.S. aid and that sort of thing. He was a serious player. And, but anyway, now, he's passed away, and he never got a Medal of Honor. I think he earned it, actually. But anyway, so I'm here at Christmas, and some people write me, and they're like, "Oh, you must be sad being alone." No way, man. I'm not sad. I mean, I wish Masako were here because she's the twinkle in the sunshine. She's the twinkle of the stars and the rays from the. But she'll be back soon, and we'll travel around and do some other things, and it just had to be that way. Did the camera just go out? I'm not sure if this thing's still operating. Actually, I made a long video before and it didn't work, so I'm remaking it now. And something just happened to this one. I hope it's still working. But on the depression thing during Christmas, I know a lot of people have depression during holidays, but there's no need for that. At all. And remember the magic formula for depression is, in many, I've said this in other podcasts and podcasts that many people have come to me about depression for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe they sense that I, for some reason, know how to deal with that crap. Everybody's been depressed. I have, of course. I felt every feeling you felt. I've felt it too. And as you can see, I'm a fairly intense person. I was even known as such when I was in special forces. And so, but the thing is you can let your feelings ride you, or you can ride your feelings like a horse. You can let your feelings ride you like a monkey, or you can ride your feelings like a horse, right? And like Mercury. And so, you have to take control of your feelings. You have to use your executive function and say, charge here, right? Otherwise, anybody can push you around with your feelings, and your enemies will, of course. That's what information war is all about, psychological operations, right? And they work very hard to depress us. But some of the things that you can do, first of all, you can defeat depression. So many people have told me, you don't understand. It's a chemical imbalance. I'm like, whatever, man. Here you go. Let me give you the magic formula. No intoxicants at all, period, nothing, including prescriptions, any of that crap, nothing, right? None of the cannabis, none of the alcohol. You got to stop all that stuff. Sunshine, go for walks, get your sleep. Sleep is absolutely quality sleep. But sunshine, sleep, walks, and just no intoxicants, really. I mean, it's not hard. And music, you got to get rid of any just get rid of most music, actually. Most music, unless it's really high quality stuff with high quality people, doing really, artful music, just throw it all out, right? But any of the sad music, gotta go, right? And so many people I've helped out of depression. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take like, hey, I'm not charging $500 an hour, $10,000 an hour, or $2,000 a week, or however much those people get. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's easy. No sad music, no intoxicants, sunshine, walk, sleep. You got to get quality sleep. You're going to be amazed. It's going to take like 24 hours and you're going to feel better. It's not going to take 6 months. We don't have time for that. You can be done with that and instantly. I mean, it's like, here's your depression. Throw that over the river. It's like it's gone. It's so easy. And anybody can do it, And so just because it's Christmas, and I love Christmas, and I'm still loving it even though I'm alone, because I've been calling family and friends, and I'm going to call Masako again when I get off. So yeah, and we look forward to a year of making a difference and fighting back, which we've been quite successful at. Some successes you've probably seen, but most of them you have not. And we've been very successful on a lot of things and significant things. I wish I could just talk about everything, but it just can't. And so, but anyway, Merry Christmas. I'm here with our brothers who gave their lives. Many are buried, British and Australians here, and many Americans too, in the National Cemetery further away. And they died all around me. I mean, the plane crashed just over here in the lake. And so we went to, how many plane crashes did we get? I'll tell you a few about these. There was the one I just told you about that hit the hit the cemetery, literally crashed in the cemetery, and that was the B-24 Liberator here on Facebook. They got a Facebook page, so that's number 42-7554. That was that one. You can look it up and read about it. And there's so many more. And there's so many other things that happen here as well. For instance, a V-1 rocket, those big rockets the Germans were shooting at the British. One of them launched near here because, if you bring it here, you're much London than you are launching it from Germany. I don't know if they would fly that far, would they? I don't know. But anyway, they launched one near here, a V-1, and those things have pretty big warheads, and it didn't make it, and it just went a short distance, and boom, blew up a big crater. And so that's not far from here. And so I guess it still had most of its fuel because it didn't go very far. And they had huge warheads. How big was the V-1 warhead? You could look it up, but it's quite big. And so it left a crater, which is still there. And but I've seen a lot of airplanes. There's still that cemetery where the airplane crashed, where the B-24 number 2-7554, where that crashed. They just found a propeller in the cemetery in recent times. They were digging a grave, so they found an actual propeller while they were digging a grave, and you could find that in the news. And then some young guys were out there with a metal detector more recently and still finding parts in that immediate area. They're all over the place. And not only that, there's like old coins, really, really old coins and all kinds of stuff. I mean, really old coins. I've seen a collection yesterday. And there's a huge amount of aircraft that crashed in the lake nearby. Ships, and this place is unbelievable. Actually, where I'm at now is an old fort, centuries ago, but you can only tell when you overlay a map over it. Then you can see I'm actually in what would be part of the old fort, and the history here is quite stunning and amazing. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you for everybody who supported Masako and me through 2025 financially and sharing links and otherwise. Nice comments and whatnot. They go a long way. I mean, we really appreciate all those things, and we need all those things, and super appreciate it. And you're definitely getting returns on your investment. And again, more than you might realize in a lot of ways. In any case, Merry Christmas. Masako will be back soon. I hope this video works this time. And look up these crash sites here. And I know it's not Veterans Day, it's Christmas. But let me say one more thing about Christmas. Masako and I were writing Christmas cards, and she wrote Happy Xmas on one of the cards, and she showed me, because she's very artful. She doesn't write it. She draws a picture. I was like, oh, no, not Xmas. Xmas means they're trying to X out Christ from Christmas. She goes, oh, she didn't know that. Because, in information war, most of the repetitions that you see of the information war are derivative. They're repetition. They're not from a source that actually knows why they're saying Xmas or something like that, right? Because so Masako, being Japanese, she just thought Americans say Happy Xmas. And I said, no. When I was a young boy in Winter Haven, Florida, we were driving around Christmas, around this time, I guess, and near Lake Ship, actually, near those railroad tracks. People in Winter Haven know where I'm talking about. And somebody had Happy Xmas written like on a side of a big house or barn or something. And I said, what's Xmas mean? And somebody told me, it means, they're trying to knock Christ out of Christmas. And I said, oh, why would they do that? Of course I was, very young. I don't know how old I was, but in any case, and it's not Xmas. It's not Happy. When I told Masako, she studies information war, so she's quite. As soon as she heard my explanation, she immediately got rid of that card and made another one. And so, Merry Christmas, not Merry Xmas. I don't want that whole Xmas stuff is. That's what the people do that are pushing the drugs and all that. That's the happy Xmas crowd. That's the ones who are pushing the death jabs and the trans stuff and all the just basically beastly things. So there's no happy for me. It's Merry Christmas. And so Merry Christmas to everybody. Make sure you call your family members. I know there's one that you didn't call yet. Everybody knows there's one more that they need to call. Anyway, Masako and I love y'all, and thank you for all the support, all the forms of support, and we're gonna keep right on at it. There's a lot about to unfold here. My apology, I didn't publish much in December this year because we were very busy with Catherine Austin Fitz and some very significant meetings, actually. Some people came to Netherlands to meet and that sort of thing. And we've been just an incredible amount of research, which you're going to see returns from that soon with the things that we publish. Very, very interesting. So I'll be back in action publishing a lot more now because now I'm stable. I've got Catherine's studio actually to myself for now. And so I'll publish something again tomorrow. Merry Christmas to everybody. And not yet Happy New Year, but soon.